Hey there, it's Jenny Hobbs, Fit Mom MD, and as you can hear, I'm coming up with a little bit of a cold, starting to lose my voice, so I hope that doesn't bother you too much. I am quite worried I'm going to lose my voice completely by tomorrow, so I actually stayed up late. I'm here in my pajamas, my kids are asleep, but I wanted to get this content out to you before I get any sicker, and that's just how much I care about changing your life through organization. I'm on a mission here. But no, seriously, tonight I want to talk with you about one of the most important habits that I have developed over the last few years, and that's my weekly routine. I typically do this on Sundays, where I review the prior week and set up my new week for success. And I don't know about you, but back in the day, I used to get so anxious on Sunday nights. Kevin can attest to this. He would have to like calm me down because I would just get so worried about all the things I had to do, and I just felt this like anxiety in the a lump in my chest. And it's interesting because I was actually worse about that back before we had kids. By the time we had kids, I had already started doing a lot of my health and fitness work and my coaching work and my mindset work, and I had learned some of these strategies that I'm going to talk to you about. And so I actually, even though we were busier, once we had, a newborn and a toddler, and I was working full time and Kevin was working full time, even though we were a lot busier, I actually handled the Sunday night feeling and the stress a lot better than I had before we had kids and before I was doing all of these healthy mindset techniques and exercise and all that stuff, which is, that's just one of many reasons I ended up doing this crazy coaching thing that I do now, is because it really did. It was like a snowball effect that changed my entire life, and I just can't believe how different I am now than where I started. So if you're like me and you used to, you're still in that state of getting stressed out on Sunday nights, I think this will really help. Even if that's not you, I just think having a system to look through your week will help you be more productive and achieve more in terms of your goals going forward. So let me walk you through. It's really simple, but I think that it will really help you to have this broken down. Okay, so step one is to review the prior week. So you can do this in any different way depending what type of planner you use. But for me, I start by looking at my win the week tracker. I've talked about that before in my planner video, but where I have the habits that I'm currently working on and the goal for how many times a week I'll do those habits. So I review that. I look at what I'm set for my goal, what I actually accomplished, and think about that. The next thing that I review is my to-do list. So I have a sort of don't forget weekly to-do list, and then I also have my master brain dump that I keep. And so I go through, excuse me, I go through both of those and make sure I've crossed off all of the things that I've done. The next thing that I do is I review, my monthly, weekly, and yearly goals, which I keep right here. So the top 3 things I said I would accomplish that prior week, and I assess whether or not I actually did accomplish them. So once I do that, I then go through and I say, what were my wins from this past week? What were the losses or struggles? And then I move on to part 2. So part 2 is looking at planning the next week. And the first thing I think about is looking at what happened last week. What can I improve on? What can I do better? Did I accomplish the things I said were actually my top 3 priorities? How did I do with my win the week stats? Did I get through the major items that I felt like were things I must get done? And what were my wins and losses? So I really look at that critically, and then I move forward from there. So then I go to the new week, and I look at, again, reviewing my yearly and monthly goals and then saying, what are my true top 3 priorities for this week? Because if you have more than 3 priorities, you don't have any. I forget who said that, but it's very true. And I look at that, and then I look through my win the week, and I transfer over the habits from the prior week, assuming they're still the same habits I want to work on, and adjust the goals based on what I learned the prior week, what makes sense for where I want to be with that. And then I review that brain dump I showed you, and anything that I see on there that's getting to a looming deadline or it's very important to me, I make sure is on this weekly don't forget list, so it's right in front of my face. Excuse me. So I set up all of those goals, win the week, the to-do list, and all that from the beginning so that I know where I want to focus my time as I move into the next step. Okay, so step 3 is really simple. It's just my calendar. So as you know, my husband and I use an electronic calendar. We use iCal through Apple to share all of our appointments and moving parts. And that works really well for us for the big picture. But each week I take whatever is on that electronic calendar and make sure it's updated here. So my work shifts, when they start and stop, any times I need to be at the school for certain things, any haircuts, appointments, dinners with friends, things like that. So I transfer that all over, and that's step 3. Step 4 is to time block what matters to me. Okay, and this is so key. I know I always go on about time blocking. So I start with my priorities. Number 1 priority is my own health and self-care. So when am I going to do my workouts? When am I going to do my meal planning? When are Kevin and I going to have our weekly meeting to talk about our meal planning? When am I going to do my mindset miracle morning? When am I going to go to sleep, right? For me, sleep is not always just clear cut. It has to be around my work schedule. I work nights. I have lights out here. I have, okay, this is the time I need to prioritize 7 hours of sleep, even though I may want to do other projects during that time. So I start with that. Then I go on to my next priority, which is my family. So I say, okay, when are we going to have dinner as a family? We try to have dinner, unless I'm gone at a meeting or something, we always have dinner at 5 p.m. as a family. Then we have family time right after where I'm unplugged. If I'm not at a meeting or post-call, I do morning routine with my kids from 7 to 9. So I block that out. I take Nora to gymnastics. I block that out. I pick up Charlie from school. I do volunteering at Charlie's school every other week, things like that. So that's all in here. In fact, I even put in my quality time with Kevin because it's easy for me to do things like tonight where I'm working after the kids go to sleep, but I have to prioritize sometimes unplugging and spending quality time with Kevin as well. So that is all mapped out on here. So I've got my self-care and my family as my top 2 priorities. Then I can see very clearly where I have chunks in my day, right? So the things that are a fixed schedule and the things that are my fixed top priorities are scheduled in, right? And then I can go through and say, okay, these are the hours I have to work on my goals. So my business, my dreams, my vision that I'm creating. So the activities that I have on this Win the Week, the activities I have on my brain dump and my don't forget list, they can fit into here. And it's interesting when you time block like this, by the way, this is a very busy week for me. I have a lot of hospital shifts and a lot of family obligations and a lot of meetings. Yet I still, you can see them kind of here in the green, I still found 21 hours to work on my personal goals and business goals, which is actually a good amount of time. I can get a lot done in 21 hours if I know that they're there. If I hadn't done this, I wouldn't have seen this time, and the time has a way of just disappearing if you don't know that. So then I schedule those activities in. And then the last part of time blocking that I think is really important is you should set aside some sort of block to work on all the catch-all errands and phone calls and things that pile up. This is kind of like my don't forget list. So it's a lot of little stuff, and it can be very easy to let the little stuff take up all your time. So I like to actually time block out like an hour, to just like get through emails and run errands, things like that, or figure out where I can lump things into a smaller period of time so that those little things are not constantly distracting me from the time that I'm really working on my big goals. So that's kind of how I do my time blocking for the week. And, sometimes people tell me, gosh, it feels like so scheduled and there's no spontaneity, but guys, you can allow spontaneity as well. Like I don't have every single minute sorted out. I see where I can get the things I need done, and I can do some changing up of that on the fly. And on a week where I don't have so many work shifts, I may have whole days where I don't, like this Sunday I had nothing planned. And so I had flexibility there, and I had some flexibility here. So it does work out that you do have flexibility, but it's just knowing where you can have that flexibility and still reach the goals that you want and honor the priorities that you have for yourself. So I hope that makes sense. I think time blocking is so key. If you have questions, please let me know below. I could probably do a whole video just on this topic. Okay, so those are the 4 main steps that you need to take. I'm going to give you one bonus tip in a minute, but just to review, if you want to plan out your week, you want to be quick and efficient and all that good stuff, and you're pressed for time, just do these 4 steps. Number 1, review the prior week. What went well? What did you struggle with? Did you accomplish your goals? Number 2, set goals and intentions for the new week and habits. Number 3, look at your calendar, put in any fixed events that you have, and make sure you have, you're not going to forget anything. Number 4, time block what really truly matters to you, including your self-care, your family time, and all those things so that you can see what you have to work with. So those 4 steps will take you so far. Now, if you have time after that, I want to give you a bonus idea. Sit and look at this plan and figure out what details you can sort out right then and there to make your week better. So do a little self-care for yourself in the future. So yesterday I was realizing, oh gosh, I have a lot of little things on here, but I was like, I can knock, this one out really quick. I can email the dry cleaners, get the dry cleaning downstairs ready to go, done, right? Oh, this, somebody else, I just need to send this quick email. My assistant can take care of this tomorrow morning, so I don't forget to email her then, right? So I look at things and I figure out, what can I do to lessen the mental load for Jenny on Wednesday and Thursday when she's more exhausted versus Jenny right now, okay? So think about what you can do to set yourself up for success, what you can delegate. My husband and I actually do this. We sit down and have a little one-on-one, typically on Monday mornings. That works for our schedule, but you could do it on Sunday if you both work on Mondays. And we just sit down and we review, okay, the layout of my week and his week. We make sure we know who's picking up the kids when, and then we go over, what we both think are priority items that need to be taken care of, and we make sure that we have an idea of who's doing what, right? So we're on the same page going into the new week. The other part of what we do in our meeting, and I strongly recommend you do this to make your life easier, is we plan out our meals. So we know what we're having for healthy dinners as a family, and we do that based around our schedule. So what nights am I going to be working, or we're going to have a dinner out with friends, or whatever the case may be, so we can plan our treat meals or dinners that take longer to prepare, or leftovers or things like that around what makes sense with our life. And I really strongly encourage this. This is so big for the women in my health and fitness groups. You are not probably going to want to make a fresh home-cooked meal every single night all week long while you're working. So have another plan. Put it in the Instant Pot. Make it up ahead of time. Plan a treat meal on a day when you know you're likely going to want to stop and get, something unhealthy anyway. There's a lot of ways to solve that. You don't have to plan every single morsel of food you're going to eat the whole day, although I will say that works really well for a lot of people, and it's something to consider when you're first starting on a health journey. But at least know that you're stocked up with your healthy staples, and you have a plan for your dinners. Okay, excuse me. That's a good starting point. And then keep the breakfast and lunch meals very simple. Maybe repeat some things. Again, get up after this, planning session and go get some groceries ordered, start doing some food prep, anything you can do to make life easier as you get into the week. And then same thing with your workouts. So where are you going to work out? Do you work out at home like me? You have a library at home? Okay, what workouts are you going to do? How long are they going to be? Can you fit them in on every day? Or do you have some days where you're going to be working so much that you need to take a rest day and get a long workout in on a day that you have off? So be strategic, follow the plan. Don't just stand there and scroll in the morning trying to figure out what to do, because you're likely not going to do it or leave enough time for it. If you don't work out at home, if you go to a gym or to classes, schedule the classes, reserve the spot, decide, tell your partner when you're going so that they can watch the kids, get your workout clothes in the car so you can go right after work. Do whatever you can to set yourself up for success. And this is going to look different for everybody. These are just some ideas. But I really think if you can get some of those nitty-gritty things ironed out, that takes a lot of the mental load off of you during the week, so you're not making a bunch of decisions and stressing out. Instead, you're looking at your blocks of time that are free and you're enjoying them. So you're being creative, like working on your business, like I am here, working on another goal, or simply relaxing with your family, not having all these things floating around in your mind like, oh, I didn't eat healthy today, now I have to figure out a healthy dinner and I just don't want to. That all is going to add to your stress and make you feel like you're failing. But you can set yourself up for success ahead of time, and then you will feel great and it will be very freeing. So I know sometimes it's tempting to think, gosh, that level of planning takes away my freedom, but actually by getting yourself reasonably planned and actually planning in some, there's white space in this calendar, right? Then you can truly enjoy that white space. It actually gives you more freedom. So I hope that all makes sense. I would love to hear your feedback. Is this helpful? Is this something you can implement? Is this something you already have implemented? Have you found other tips that work? Please share below so everyone can learn together. And as always, if you like the content that I provide, please do subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will be back next week with more tips. I hope you have a great week.